how many of you have ever used a search engine? Ever? Okay. How many of you have used one in the last week? Cool. So you might use a search engine for all kinds of things, right? Like if you're going to research buying a car, or like I went to Israel a couple months ago and I'd heard that security was really hard, and so I wanted to find some like real world experiences of people who'd actually been in and out of Israel. Or this might have happened to you as well. Maybe you're at a bar and you're arguing about like which actor was in a movie, and then like whoever loses has to buy the next round of drinks. So you pull out your mobile phone and instantly you can tell who was in the movie, right? So how many of you used a search engine in 1988? One person, all right, you're a geek. So it's amazing, right, over the course of time, really not that long at all, how search has really become such a part of our culture that we don't even think about it anymore. And so you might think, all right, that's relevant if you're like, you know, a store, or you know, you have some kind of a business. But I would say that no matter what it is that you're doing, that you're passionate about, you want to be out there and be part of the conversation. And it's sort of what everyone in the background is searching all the time about it, you know, everything. We just don't really think about it. So why should you listen to me about search and social media? As you just heard, I did work at Google, and at Google, you have two types of results, right? You have ads, and then you have what are known as the organic search results. And Google had a really big organization to help advertisers, but there was really no way for every single site owner of the entire world to really understand how they could be in the organic search results. And so that was sort of my job, is to build a relationship between Google and every single site owner in the world, which it turns out there's a lot of them, I found out. So I did that there, and now I'm doing a lot of things related to search. Social media, how many of you have heard of Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Right, so back in 1998, I watched that show, and that's how I got involved in social media. I'd go online, and we'd all talk to each other, and I still know a lot of people that I met there. So if you read any of my articles, you may find references. Even when I was at Google, I would slip in some references. So if you read the Google Webmaster blog, you may find that. And then when I left Google, the world of site owners actually named an update of Google the Buffy update, because apparently my name had become somewhat synonymous with that. So just a little bit about search. There are now 1 billion people on the internet worldwide, and 92% of them search every single month. So if you're looking to reach a global audience, this is a great way to do it. Half of people online search every single day, and Google is the dominant search engine, although depending on where you are, that may be, there's some regional differences. So I think what's interesting here, this chart here is newspaper circulation. We all know that the newspapers have been having a tough time lately as the internet becomes more popular. So if we think historically about how we would try to reach people with our message, often it was the newspaper, right, or other types of media. We might have PR people reach out to reporters. We might want to get these mentions in the press. But if readership is down, that means all those things that we've done is we're not going to reach as many people as before. But all those people who are no longer reading the newspaper are searching. And so that can be a great way to really get your message out there. Social media is increasing as well. And to me, social media is really anywhere people are talking online, right? So there's lots and lots of opportunities for that. A new area, I mentioned the bar scenario. How many of you have ever done that, like in a bar or something? Yeah. As mobile phones get easier to use in terms of browsers, iPhone was really kind of what changed the game here. Is even before, we had Blackberries and stuff, we had these different types of smartphones, but it still was sort of cumbersome. And with the iPhone, not just the early adopters, but all of the masses, like everyone wanted an iPhone, and that really, you can see the stats here that iPhone and Android are the two, browsers that are really edging up, and people are starting to use those. So anywhere you go, you walk around, and search is available. What's the mobile experience like? And this is where search is starting to change. It's always been sort of a text-based type of a thing, but now you have like an iPhone app where if you hear music, you can just put your phone up and it'll say who the music is by. Or Urban Spoon is an app where if you have an iPhone and don't have this Urban Spoon app, you should really get it. You don't know where to eat, so you shake the phone and it rolls and it says, oh, here's where you should eat. It's really cool. It is. This is Goodyear's homepage. Quite a different experience for mobile users than those other two experiences. So we really have to think about where people are these days. Social media as well, of course, is starting to increase. This chart I find interesting. We were talking about MySpace earlier at the break. This peak, first peak is when MySpace became popular, and then MySpace became less popular, and then you see the dip, and then the second one is the Facebook popularity. Now everyone's on Facebook, so that's another great place, of course. Video, 85% of Americans online view online video in a month, which I find to be kind of crazy. But YouTube is now the number 2 search engine in the United States after Google. So if you have a message to send out to people, you might think about video as a way to get the message out there and make sure that your videos are on YouTube, because that's just become really a type of content that people are interested in. So this is what I was saying before. So this is the National Institutes of Health. You can see that they have all these different public relations types of things where they're trying to get their message out through different types of media. But do they have the same thing for search? You know, and they have some really important things out there. They have all of this medical advice that could be really, really valuable, but is it being available? And we will take a look and see about that. So there's lots going on in search engines now. How many of you have seen the Wonder Wheel at Google? It's crazy. So the right-hand side here is what the search results look like now. So we've gone beyond just the links, and we now have images and video and all kinds of things showing up right in the search results. So again, you know, whatever kind of content you have, think about the various ways to make it available to people. There's this more options available now at Google, and there's all these crazy things where you can see only videos, only news, only things within the last week, and of course this Wonder Wheel, which lets you explore the world and see what's related. So you know, you can take a look now, since we've sort of gotten to the stage where search is just part of the culture. Now we're evolving beyond to figure out what are the ways that we can use search, what's the information that's available. So what tends to happen is search is just something that's crept up on us, so it's not something that we've thought of as a major shift. So we haven't really thought about how people's behaviors have changed. One thing, of course, is that we're really sort of an instant culture as well. We can take half a second, a quarter of a second to evaluate the search results page, and to go over to a page, if it doesn't instantly provide what we want, we're just gonna go back, because we know that there's like a million search results possible, right? We don't have to spend time on any one site looking for the information, because we know that there's lots more that's available. So you have to really think about that when you're trying to engage your audience. The first thing that you might think about when you're thinking about searchers is, what is it that they want? What's their intent? And 24% of queries are a single word. So what can you do with that? Not a lot. There's some interesting things that are happening, though. At the same time that you have all of the queries that are a single word, the fastest rising length of query is more than 8 words. So you sort of have a bunch of searches that are hard to tell, and then you have all these long tail searches that are lots and lots of words. So we're starting to see the divergence, which if you think back to what I showed you a second ago with the Wonder Wheel, you're also seeing a divergence of how the search results are displayed as well, because the search engines, realizing that everyone's online now, not just early adopters, are trying to provide an experience for the novice as well as an experience for the expert. And so, that's getting hard. So how can we tell? Well, there's a couple of things. One is that even though 24% of queries are a single word, only 11% of queries that end up on a page are a single word. So half of people, I'm not really good at math, but perhaps half of people who enter in a single word are doing a refinement before they look at any results. So they're looking at the search results on the page, they're realizing that it's not enough information, and they're going back and entering more. The search engines, of course, have lots of information about how people refine their searches. So if I type in like Britney Spears and I realize that what I really wanted was videos, and so then I add the word videos, which apparently is super common. She's still one of the most searched for words. I think she's like number 2 or 3. So what you can do is you can do a search for whatever it is that's most interesting to what you're working on, see what the search results actually have, because they're going to be incorporating a lot more information than just the query. They're also going to be incorporating all of the history of searches over time and all of the behavior of searchers. So you can actually get a lot of good information about what people are really after by looking at the search results that the search engines show. People are navigating more and more to sites through search. So people think of search as the entry point of the web, as opposed to going to your site or to, some kind of a vertical search engine. So you want to be there to kind of be part of the conversation. This is how we used to think of building sites. I started building websites in 1995, and we thought of them in this hierarchical structure. People go to your homepage, and then they go to a section, and then another section. But people don't really do that these days. This is how they get to your site. So they start with a search. Every single page of your site becomes the entry point for your site. So what you'll want to think about is evaluate each page as a standalone. Can I instantly tell what the site is, why I'm here, what this page does, and then more, as importantly as all of those other things, what's the call to action? So what is it that you really want people to do on your site, and does every page of your site give them that opportunity? So we'll take a look at a couple of examples. So the UN has a gateway for climate change, and they have tons of information about the subject. It's one of their major goals is to provide education, be part of the conversation about climate change. So the ideal situation would be that someone would do a search for this, and they would end up on this gateway page. Sounds great. But what actually happens? Oh, you can't really see that at all. The first thing that happens is that this first bar here is the people searching for global warming. The second bar, the lower bar, is the number of people searching for climate change. So that's the first thing, is that you have to understand what people are really searching for. So even though you may think of things in a certain way, it may not be the same way that people are thinking of it. So that's kind of the first thing is we need to understand the language of our audience. Then you do a search for global warming, since that's what people are really going to do. And the third site that comes up is all about how there's no such a thing as this crazy global warming idea. It's just crazy. And so if you're the UN, like, this should be really important that your site is not here, but this other site that has the opposite of information that you want to have out there is there. So here's an example that kind of brings things all the way through. This is the Peace Corps. Someone does a search for what do Peace Corps volunteers do. They come up number 1, which is great. Then their site comes up, which again, it's not their homepage, but it's very obvious that it's the Peace Corps. It's very obvious that the searcher has landed in the right spot, and they have an Apply Now huge button, which is the call to action that they want. So this workflow can be seen by this arrow, which starts out with what do people really search for, do you show up, do you have any visibility, and then all the way through the process. So there's lots of tools available. These are all of Google's tools that are available, where they just have all the search information out there, all the historical information about what people have searched for. So you can see the specific, the queries that people have done. You can see the trends over time. This top graph, the green is global warming, and the red is climate change. You can see all of the related terms. So you can really start to get a sense of what people are really interested in, what people are really looking for, and make sure that you have the types of content that people want. You can see sort of globally how this is. This again is the National Institutes of Health that compares 2 types of diseases, which one is the thing that's searched for the most. And so here we go, okay, arthritis, that seems to be what people are most interested in. We should prioritize that. Here we can see across the country where people are most interested in, specifically what they're interested in relating to arthritis. So you can really make sure that you provide what your audience is looking for. And then again, just looking at the keyword, research that's available, do you use the language of that audience, or are you completely missing, the types of words that, they use when they describe? So social media can really play a part in this as well. One thing to keep in mind is that, as I'm sure all of you have seen happen in your own lives, you might be interested in doing a search based on something that you've heard, whether it was, a TV ad or, something like that. And people these days like to multitask. So if you might be watching something, but you're on the internet at the same time. Here's a commercial example from the Super Bowl. Hyundai did an ad for a new sports car. The end of the ad has edityourown.com as the domain. So they were expecting, my guess is that they were expecting people to go to a browser and type edityourown.com into the address bar and go to the site. Seems logical. If you look at the trends provided by Google, this was like 15 minutes after the commercial aired. You can see that what happened is people went to Google and typed edit your own into the search bar. And then when they got to the search results, edityourown.com does not appear anywhere in the search. So if this is the ad agency or the marketing, people or whatever, they may be doing metrics related to how many people went to the website, and they may say, oh, the commercial didn't raise any interest because we didn't get the volume that we expected, when actually this was where, the failure happened. It caused a lot of interest, right? People were searching a lot. It's just that they didn't bring that all the way through to the end of what's happening in organic search. Search can also be helpful for brand messaging. Here's Got Milk. They show up great. Here is the Staples Easy button. They not only show up, but they have videos. Here's Nike's slogan: how one couple turned off the TV and turned on their sex lives. So Nike's not showing up at all for their own slogan. There's some images, but they don't even come from the Nike site. Don't let this happen to you. So here's some other ways that they can tie in. I became an accidental spokesperson for an energy drink the other day. I did a post on social media about this great energy drink. I didn't really say what it was. I mostly meant to say that I'll probably be bouncing off the walls soon. But what happened? All these people responded and said, what's the brand? Like, everyone wanted to know what kind of interesting new drink. Unfortunately, I couldn't find their website because I was going to do a search and then link to them, give them some free advertising. So we looked for it. There was a Facebook page that had 100 people signed up. That's how we sort of found out about them. If you go to their site, they say if you want to know more, like where we're located, call an 800 number. People don't really do that these days. And then you go to this other lovely site that they have a forum, but it's apparently down. So, you kind of have to think about this process all the way through to the end. We used to, this was old, the social media of old, but since we don't read the newspaper now, we're just online. And I'll just kind of skim through these stats. Everyone apparently is on social media these days. I wanted to show this. This is, again, how search and social media can tie in with each other. I don't know if, did you all see this new stuff about mammograms and, this new, the task force said, well, you don't really need them till you're 50. It's going to affect the healthcare bear. I found a New York Times article that said that there had been a statement from the National Cancer Institute, which is part of National Institutes of Health, but I could not, in the search results, I could not find information from them anywhere. I dug on their site, which no one's gonna do, right? I spent all this time going through their site, and they did have a statement, but it's like impossible to find, and it certainly didn't show up in search. Now, this would be a place where they really want to be part of the conversation, right? Because people are angry, they want to know what's going on. This would be a great opportunity for them to really be involved. So how could that possibly, be something that they could more easily become visible. So I think we can take an example from the TSA. I'm not always a fan of the TSA. I'm in airports a lot. But in this case, they did a pretty good job. I don't know if you all saw this, but there was a blog post from a woman. She titled it, "The TSA Agents Took My Son." It was a very awful story about how she got stopped at security for extra screening, and she had her baby with her, and they took the baby away. She couldn't see the baby anymore, and she was like freaking out, but she couldn't go after her baby because, you know, she's being screened. This got picked up everywhere, right? So it became this big story. Well, the TSA has a blog, and so they posted a video that showed that she was with her baby the whole time and that they never took the baby away. And then the blogger went back and he posted on all the blogs, hey, if you want to see the video. So now if you look at the search results for a TSA Takes Baby, it's all about the real story and it's all about the video. So they were able to change the conversation and show up in search, which if they hadn't have had all of this, you know, this could have really gone off the rails. So to sum up, search is awesome. The data that's available is awesome. And you can really become, you know, a better part of the conversation through sort of understanding how to become more visible in search. Thanks a lot.